Why do we sweat? It might seem like a simple question. After all, everyone has experienced it, whether you're running under the hot sun, feeling nervous before a big meeting, or just eating spicy food. But behind those drops of salty water is one of the most fascinating survival systems in nature. Let's start with the basics. Sweating is your body's way of controlling temperature. Your internal organs work best around 37 degrees Celsius or 98.60 Fahrenheit. If you go too far above that, proteins start to break down, organs can fail, and survival becomes impossible. So evolution gave us an incredible cooling system: sweat. Tiny glands, about 2 to 5 million of them spread across your body, release a clear fluid. When that fluid evaporates from your skin, it carries heat away. And here's the key: it's not the sweat itself that cools you, it's the evaporation. That's why sweating feels useless on a humid day. The air is already full of water, so your sweat just drips off without doing its job. Now here's what makes humans so unique. Most mammals don't rely on sweat like we do. Dogs pant, cats lick themselves, but humans, we evolved as the sweating species. Millions of years ago, our ancestors hunted by persistence. They couldn't outrun antelopes in speed, but they could outlast them in endurance. While animals overheated, humans cooled themselves through sweat mile after mile. In fact, some scientists argue that sweating was a major reason humans became such successful hunters. But sweat is more than just cooling. It also tells a story about you. Have you noticed how sweat smells different depending on the situation? That's because you actually have two kinds of sweat glands. Eccrine glands. These cover most of your body and produce a watery, mostly odorless sweat. That's the sweat of exercise or heat. Apocrine glands. These are found in places like your armpits and groin. Their sweat is thicker, mixes with bacteria on your skin, and creates body odor. That's the sweat of stress, fear, or attraction. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Sweat carries chemical signals. Studies show that when people smell the sweat of someone who is afraid, their own brain activity changes. They become more alert, almost as if fear is contagious. In other words, your sweat is a silent messenger, sending signals about your emotional state. Sweating also plays a small role in removing waste like salt, urea, and ammonia. It's not the main way your body detoxes, but it does lighten the load. And if you've ever noticed the sting of sweat in a cut, that's the salt in action. But sweating has its quirks. Some people hardly sweat at all, a condition called anhidrosis, which can be dangerous in hot environments. Others suffer from hyperhidrosis, sweating excessively even when their body doesn't need cooling. For them, everyday life can feel like living in a constant heat wave. And then, of course, there's spicy food sweat. Why does that happen? It's not about temperature, it's chemistry. Capsaicin, the active ingredient in chili peppers, tricks your nerves into thinking your mouth is on fire. Your body responds as if you're overheating by sweating. That's why eating hot wings can make your forehead drip like you've run a marathon. Culturally, sweat has always had mixed meanings. In some traditions, sweat lodges were sacred spaces, seen as purification rituals. In sports, sweat is a symbol of hard work and effort. Yet in modern society, we often treat sweat as embarrassing, something to hide with deodorants and perfumes. But maybe we should think differently, because sweat is proof of resilience. It's proof that your body is fighting to keep you alive, adapting to challenges and cooling you when conditions get tough. Without sweat, we wouldn't survive the heat of summer, the stress of competition, or even the intensity of a good workout. So the next time you wipe your forehead or feel that familiar dampness under your arms, remember, sweat isn't just water. It's history, it's biology, it's evolution's masterpiece, written across your skin.